Hi everyone, this is Professor Benjamin, and I promised you a video on the midterm exam. So this is the video for the midterm exam. If you look under session 5, which is the sustainability session, you can see at the bottom there is a review for the midterm exam. When you click on the review for the midterm exam, it'll bring you to a Word document, and on the Word document you'll see some instructions. So I'm going to open the Word document here. I'm going to actually download it because this is what I suggest you do. I suggest that you download the Word document, and then I suggest that under each question you type out an answer. And then what you could do is copy and paste those answers into the midterm exam portal. This is an open book midterm exam, and you are given all the questions before the midterm exam. They are all right here on this midterm exam review sheet. So really, the preparation for the midterm is actually before the midterm. So writing out all the answers before the midterm, you can edit your answers, you could do whatever you want, and then just copy and paste them into the portal for the due date. So really, it's an open book test. But of course, we all know that open book tests sometimes are harder than closed book tests because you actually have to type out the answers ahead of time and have well thought out answers. The other thing is that you are given 3 hours to take the midterm exam. And I know that seems like so much time. Like, oh, well, I just won't even write out the answers before the midterm. I'll just type them out as I go on the midterm exam. That's fine, but I've been teaching at Community College of Philadelphia for over 8 years. And students usually who do that, some of course succeed, but most do not succeed. They run out of time. And so I really highly suggest that you take my advice and type out the answers before the midterm. So really the preparation is before the midterm exam, not the actual midterm. So you are given 1 full week to take the midterm. That doesn't mean that you're given a full week like logging off and logging on. What that means is that over the course of the week you'll have 1 chance to take the midterm exam. You're given 3 hours. So remember, once you log on, you have to take the midterm exam. You can't like log on and walk away. You only have 3-hour block to do that. I had a student one time who decided to start the midterm exam and then went and took a shower and came back and said, oh, I thought I had 3 hours, like if I paused it, and then that's not how it works. So you have a 3-hour window. The other thing is there is a preferred web browser to use, and of course that's Mozilla Firefox, or it is Google Chrome to take your midterm exam. Do not use Internet Explorer. It is not compatible with Canvas. It does not work. The other helpful hint is that do not have tons of tabs open when you're taking your midterm exam. Sometimes this causes freezing, and I cannot help you if your midterm exam freezes. Okay, so it's absolutely important that you try and follow my instructions and prepare before the midterm exam, not have tons of tabs open, researching, looking for the answer. Okay. One of the other things that I need you to do is use sources I've given you. Now there is one question on the final exam, and if I allow you to look up other material, I usually write it next to the answer. But for the most part, all of the information that you have available to you to answer these questions. I don't want outside sources. And the reason I don't want outside sources is we call this you're trumping the conversation. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump, but you're trumping the conversation, which means that I haven't had time to research that source. I don't know where you're getting that information from, and sometimes it doesn't align with the course. So for example, a lot of students use an outside source to find what the word preservation means, and they say it means to protect historic buildings. Well, it does, but not to this class. To this class, preservation means preservation of the environment, and that means hands off. So there's 2 different definitions for preservation out there. And what happens is when people just Google preservation, preserving historic buildings is what comes up, and that is not the answer that I want you to give on the midterm exam. So make sure that you're using the sources that I have given you to answer the questions on the midterm. Okay, I give you some, of course, answers here, some just basic instructions. So each of your answers has to be a paragraph in length. What does that mean? That means that you need the entire answer needs to be a paragraph. So even if there's subparts to it, the entire answer with the subparts can be one paragraph. Most of your answers are going to be more than one paragraph in length. But, you know, for people who are very, very short-winded, then it will be one paragraph. But it has to be a thoughtful, full sentence length paragraph for me to give you credit. If not, I'll just give you partial credit for your answer. Okay, so there are, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 questions on the midterm exam. Yes, 10 questions on the midterm exam. Usually each one of them is worth 2 points, and then I can give you partial credit for each question. All right, remember your midterm exam is worth 25% of your grade. So the first, and I show you where each of these can be located. So under the session 1 module, what are the main reasons for uncertainty and understanding our environment, understanding of the environment, and how does the scientific method help us remove the uncertainty from science? This can be found in your textbook in the first chapter. So the answers definitely can be found there. Why are negative and positive feedback loops important for the environment? Please don't just write because they bring homeostasis back to the environment. Make sure you elaborate on that. That's not a full paragraph in length. You need to make sure that you elaborate. What is a negative? What is a positive feedback loop? How do they work together? Okay. These questions have to do with the article Tragedy of the Commons. So if you haven't read it yet, you're going to need to go back and read it. I know it's 32 pages in length, but you want to look for these answers. The other thing is you don't want to just look for these answers and then just read that part and then regurgitate it to me. You need to make sure that I understand that you understand the material. So all of these answers cannot just be copied. They have to be in your own words so that I understand you have comprehended and understand the material. Okay, so why do we use mutual corrosion to protect the commons? And there's some wonderful examples in there. And how does it work as per the article? Why does a welfare state not help protect the commons? And this is as per Garrett Hardin. And why do technical solutions not work in solving the commons problem? So all of this information can be found in that article. When are invasive species considered tragedy of the commons? Remember, not all invasive species are tragedy of the commons. Look at the tragedy of the commons PowerPoint. I also went over this in one of the roundups. Session 3. Explain how, and so this is under Session 3, Ethics, Economics, and Policy. Explain how our current views of the environment have been formed. Be sure to include why religion plays a role in your answer. Remember, the monotheistic religions really put an emphasis on God being in charge. And remember, in a lot of the Christian religions, God relates to a man. So that means man, the human, is in charge of nature, and that has really caused us to become a little bit detached from nature, because instead of us putting our thoughts and processes into the scientific method or into science or weather, etc., we then instead say, well, thank God it didn't rain here today. I even know people who bury statues or put statues in their window to prevent rain from happening. And so, that's how monotheistic religions relate to how our views on nature are formed. Okay, so can we put so that's for that question then. Can we put a monetary value on clean air or forests? This can be found in the textbook. It can also be found in the cost-benefit analysis article. What are at least 2 controversies associated with contingent valuations? Why are the controversies, what are the controversies by some economists surrounding the use of ecological valuation? This can be found in the textbook as well. And the Pricing and Priceless article. I tell you where you can find the stuff, so you should be all right. Explain the difference between conservationists and preservationists as they relate to this class, and I point out my example. How is the Hetch-Hetchy controversy a decisive moment between conservation and preservationists? There's blurb in the textbook, but you can also use an outside source for more information. I really want you to emphasize who won the battle at Hetch-Hetchy. You can even give me a brief description. It went back and forth, and you can explain, and then who eventually won the battle. And this has definitely been one of those moments that has shaped our views on the environment as well. So we have many things in our history that have shaped our views on the environment, and Hetch-Hetchy was one of them. Okay, so then we move to session 4, why can we not live on a linear system in a finite world? And how does our consumption activities addressed in the story of stuff contribute to the issues surrounding the linear system? I talked about this in the roundup last week. Remember, the linear system is a line. There's an input and an output. That output is never put back into that input again. So I want you to discuss that. I do not want you to summarize the story of stuff for me. We all watched the video. We all know how to summarize it. I want you to actually think about what the term linear system means, and then how our consumption patterns drive this linear system, and how they're related. How are they related together? Okay. And then session 5, sustainability. So we're covering that this week. Fair trade. So what is fair trade? Why is fair trade coming under criticism? Why is the labeling of food organic being grouped into the same category, and why is supporting fair trade essential in our quest to stop the linear model? You definitely want to talk about what fair trade is, the fact that labeling is a big issue. Labeling is also a big issue in terms of organic food, and you can figure out why. Okay, so I'm not going to give you all the answers. And session 6, there's a question that deals with the food incorporated film. So you need to watch the film, and you need to prove to me that you watched the film by quoting and relating things in the film to this question. And Joel Salatin is the question. It's regarded him. We were willing to subsidize food system to create the mystique of cheap food. So you need to explain to me how the system shows that mystique of cheap food. And all the examples in the film that have shown that, okay, when actually it's really expensive. So show me how that mystique is there, that we do all of this stuff and it looks like food is cheap on our shelves, but in reality it's not, and then explain why it's really not, because of all of these little obstacles, or actually all of these hidden things that we put into the system that we don't know about. All right, so I want you to make sure that you prove that from the film. So make sure you use examples from the film, and then I'll be able to know that you watched it and how it all ties together. All right, so really the preparation is before the exam. Make sure you prepare before the exam. You can copy and paste the answers into the exam portal. I know you have a lot due your exam week, but remember, these are condensed courses, so you need the time to prepare. Unfortunately, it's 7 weeks. We have a really condensed time frame that we need to condense 15 weeks worth into 7 weeks. So I know it's a lot of work, but if you time management skills, you plan ahead. Maybe you're going to use some of your drops that you are allotted. If you haven't used them already for other reasons, you could use them this week so that it helps you. Now you'll still be responsible for the content on the final exam, but at least it'll give you some breathing room this week. Okay, remember, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Remember, I can't open the portal if it closes or something goes wrong. You wait till the last minute to submit it. I can't help you. So it's absolutely essential that you plan ahead for the midterm exam. Okay, again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and have a wonderful week.